months prepared you well for the Marine Corps.
Oh yeah, they did. They made me tough. Then when I went to Campbell, I played football. I got tougher, and then they made me captain of the football team, and I got, I felt like I was tougher. And then me and my buddy were talking. Well, hey, let's join the Marines. It's 4 years. I said, and we went downtown, and we were right. We had a class in school, like a consumer class, and the guy was saying, well, you could join the Marines. All you got to do is go downtown, see the recruiter, and at that time they were on West Federal Street, the recruiter, and you go down there and they signed us up, and it was beginning of the year, and we were already in the Marines, and we were leaving July 4th to go to Paris Island. That was 1967, but it was. Let me see. I graduated in '67, so it had to be '67.
And what was Paris Island like? That you were...
Oh, it was murder, man. It was. We catch some DIs coming back from Vietnam, and they would be our drill instructor, and they would prepare us like we were in Vietnam, man. I mean, every day was they kicked your ass. I mean, it was true. I mean, they made me tougher than what I was, and I couldn't do nothing but get tougher. That what saved my life in Vietnam, I think.
So your training was good.
Oh, it was excellent, man. It was rough, but it was good training that prepared you for the war, for Vietnam. And they would tell us what the enemy was like and how small they were and how they would pop out of a hole and shoot at you and pop in and you wouldn't see them, And it was just, and I never seen a guy get killed or nothing like that. I didn't know what to do, I didn't know what I would do. And guys said, if you go backwards, you're a coward. I said, how could you be a coward if somebody's shooting at you? You don't want to get shot, right? And I just got, when I got the case on, I got tougher. We stayed on Hill 558, and the jungle grass was 10 feet tall. And we had to cut it down. And we got our positions right there. And then from there, while we were at case off, we had to take that Hill 725. And we had 3 platoons attack, 2 from that side and us from this side. And the only reason I lived was because I was a point guy. They let me through the ambush, and they killed close to 200 guys around that hill, and didn't even see the enemy. I didn't see them. They just popped up, and they would shoot a mortar round from their hip. It was amazing how they could do that, shoot it right at you. And that was the worst day of my life, I think, that day.
And what date was that? Do you know the date?
It was April 9th or 10th, and when we took that hill.
1968.
Yeah, I think it was 68. I'm not too sure. And I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do, exactly what I was going to do. But I knew when I seen a guy get wounded, I would help him put him in a helicopter. And I did 8 or 9 guys, and then they said, we had a lot of wounded guys on the side of the hill, and we can't get them up the hill to get them on the helicopter because they can't land the helicopter over there. And I said, I could carry him up. And they said, well, that's too hard. I said, well, I could do it. I get on the rope and I carried 4 or 5 guys up. And like I said, it was like a nightmare that day.
And these guys were wounded?
Yeah, they were wounded. They had, it was blood all over you, I mean, you just, if you didn't like blood, you were in trouble.
Did these guys make it?
I really don't know. I put them in a helicopter, and then I haven't seen none of. They most of them went back to the States after they got out of the hospital. They didn't come back to the platoon, but I hope they made it. You know. And my best friend was a kid from Louisiana, and the only reason he was on R&R. And my other buddy that was a fire team with us was Scotty. And he lived because we didn't take him that day. He had jungle rot so bad that we couldn't take him on the patrol to go to Hill 725. And we knew the enemy was there. We knew it, and they still killed 2/3 of us.
Tony, I'm going to read your citation so that the viewers can understand what we're talking about. This is a citation for what was it? A Navy
Commendation Medal, they call it.
Navy Commendation Medal.
It's the same level as a Bronze Star.
For heroic achievement while serving as fire team leader with Company F, 2nd Battalion, 26th Marines, 3rd Marine Division, in connection with operations against the enemy in the Republic of Vietnam. On 7 April 1968, while participating in a search and destroy operation, Company F was assigned to secure Hill 725 near Quai Son Combat Base. As the lead element advanced toward the objective, the Marines suddenly came under intense mortar and automatic weapons fire from a large, well-entrenched North Vietnamese army force and sustained numerous casualties. Alertly observing several wounded Marines lying in an area exposed to hostile fire, Lance Corporal Tisler unhesitatingly left his covered position to aid the injured men. Fearlessly maneuvering across the fire-swept terrain, he reached a casualty and moved him to a helicopter landing zone. Boldly returning to the hazardous area, he ignored the enemy rounds that impacted near him as he resolutely continued to move several other casualties to positions of relative safety and skillfully treat their wounds. His heroic actions and sincere concern for the welfare of his comrades inspired all who observed him and were instrumental in saving the lives of several Marines. By his courage, bold initiative, and selfless devotion to duty in the face of extreme personal danger, Lance Corporal Tisler upheld the finest traditions of the Marine Corps and of the United States Naval Service. Lance Corporal Tisler is authorized to wear the Combat V. How much do you remember of that?
Oh, I remember all of it. You can't forget that. Just like going to school and learning a lesson. And that day, it's in my mind all the time. I can't forget it. I tried. When I first come home, I used to have the shakes real bad, just being around people. And then people started telling me, "You didn't fight in the war. That wasn't no war. Vietnam wasn't a war." And I said, "What was it if it wasn't a war?" You know. And you go to my room, I got 15 hats, and 14 of them says Purple Heart and the Marines. And I wear it at the show that I was in a war, and I'm proud to be in a war. You know, I mean, I wanted to go fight Vietnam. I had scholarships to play football. I chose not to go to college and go to Vietnam. And I think that, that speaks for me right there. I mean, I know I could have got killed, but I ignored that. That day when I see my friends laying there, shrapnel wounds, I dragged them, I picked them up, I carried them, I put them to the helicopter, and the enemy was just shooting bullets at me. And they were going between my legs, over my head, and I swear to God, they asked me if I was scared. I was so scared that I didn't know what was going to happen. I went back to the hill that night and I cried. And I cried, it's just, the tears come out, you lost 2/3 of my good friends got killed. I lost them. I would never probably see them again, and it was like a nightmare. Just don't forget nothing like that. I remember that to the T. From on the patrol, saving the guys, going on the hill, dragging them, putting them in the helicopter. I'll never forget that. And it's been, 55 years. And how do you, you don't want to forget that. You want to remember that. These guys all fought for the United States of America, and they were going to give their life for their country, just like me. They said, you might get killed. I said, I don't care. I'm going to go over there and I want to fight in the war. I want to see. I never fought in the war. I never been in a, And that day when I saved them guys and the machine guns were all killed, I grabbed the machine gun and I brought it back to the helicopter. And we were going back to the hill. We only had 12 guys out of maybe 300. The rest were wounded or dead, and all we could do, if it was getting dark, cover them up with ponchos, and then come up the next day and get them. And our lieutenant got shot, our sergeant got shot, everybody got killed. And when we went back to the hill, I was acting lieutenant. I was an acting lieutenant, that's what they called me, and I was in charge of everything.
You were a lance corporal.
I was a lance corporal. And then I had to take them on patrol the next day, go back to the hill and get them dead bodies. And that was a nightmare, getting the dead bodies. When you took the ponchos off, rats jumped all over me. I got a fear of rats. Now, these fucking rats were like this. They were eating the bodies. And I don't know how they send them bodies home, how they recognize them to the family. They would really have to fix them up, And how do you forget that? You don't forget that. When I go to bed at night, it's in my brain. When I get up in the morning, it's in my brain. And then this is just people telling me that I should have got the Silver Star for what I did. And I don't have too many guys alive that could verify that. They all got killed. And they asked me, do I know 2 persons? No, they all got killed. What could I say? You'd have to take my word for it, or whoever put me up for the Navy Commendation Medal, somebody had to put me up for it, and they would know what I did, And I not that I want the Silver Star, but if I deserve it, I should get it. For what I did. People talking the Army got more for what they did, and they didn't do as much. And I'm saying, that's the Marine Corps. We're part of the Navy. And you're going through the Navy, and there's a lot of stuff going on to get anything from them.
The Marine Corps gets the fewest medals. Absolutely. That is verified.
And what they put you up for, they give you less, the Navy, because they don't know. They're not there.
No, they're
Well,
not.
our corpsmen were Navy guys, and we had a corpsman with every SWAT, and they got killed too, and it was amazing, there was a lot of heroes that day, and they said I was a hero, and I said I wasn't a hero. All the guys that were heroes are the guys that didn't get to come home. Their parents didn't get to see them again, They'd seen them, but they were dead. And they should have honored them for being heroes, but they didn't. They didn't. We went aboard the ship. They gave me that medal, didn't say nothing about the guys that got killed. And I didn't understand that, And then you went right back out and you fought more,
Yeah, because you had only been in country, 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, 2.5 months, I think. And I didn't know, like I said, I never seen nobody get killed or wounded. I didn't know what I was going to do. It was just doing stuff quick, without without thinking, I was doing it, you know, and things happen, you know, like nobody knew what was going to happen that day.
You must have wondered, you must have thought, there's no way I'm going to survive another 10
Oh
months.
yeah, I would, honest to God, I go back to my hole every night and cry.
Yeah.
I said, I wrote my mom and dad that I don't know if I'm going to make it home. How many times I was going to get killed, I didn't know. I didn't really know, honest. Because carrying that machine gun, they'd try to kill me right off the go, the enemy. The snipers were shooting at me and stuff. I was scared. I admit I was scared. If anybody wasn't scared, there's something wrong, you know what I mean? How could you not be scared? You can't be brave 100% when it comes to that, you know. It's just, yeah, I was scared. I cried every night, man. I didn't know if I was going to get home or how I was going to get. I always thought about that, getting home. And I had 10 more months in the country. And I was saying, oh, God. And all my friends that got killed, you know, or wounded. Then we went aboard the ship, we regrouped, and then we got more friends, you know. But we never got hit like we did that day. And that was, all it takes is one day of your life, you know, to take you away from your family and everything that you know. And people ask me what you asked me. You remember that? Can you do that? I said, yeah, I remember that. I can't forget it. It's in my head. It's in my head. And even when I got hurt in the mill, I was trying to get workers' comp. And I went to see they sent me to the lawyer. And I said, no, his problem's all from the war. He got up here. He got, it's caused from the war. And they sent me to a psychologist. And he's the one that got the boat moving, you know, where I couldn't work. My mind was always, it wasn't on working. It was always, I could hurt somebody working. It was always about the war. I could never forget the war. I can't forget it. I won't forget it.
Tell me about the day you were wounded.
I got wounded that day. That day when I carried the guys, I got shrapnel in my foot. And I didn't even know it. I was so high up from saving them guys that, you know, and then when we went back to the hill, they used a wire brush to scrape all the shrapnel out of my foot and my shoe. And that was like a nightmare, you know. And then, like I said, I got wounded. I can't remember the second time, but the third time I thought they were shooting mortar rounds at me, and I jumped in a trench, and the top of the bunker stuck in my ass, 2 or 3 inches, and I couldn't walk. It was right by my spine, and they had me laying in the back of the perimeter for like 2-3 weeks before I could do anything. It was healing up, and then when I got back to the States, they did surgery on it, and then it turned out to be pineal cysts, and
I don't know what that is.
it's like a cyst you get from being wounded or whatever. I didn't know, you know, and it was giving me problems, and they operated on me, and then they left a hole there, and I had the hole when I got here, and I couldn't get rid of it, and they got rid of it for me by putting honey and stuff on it. I didn't know what, bandage every day, changed it. And then the day I collapsed, I didn't realize I had heart trouble. I collapsed. I didn't remember riding in the ambulance or going to the hospital. I woke up, I was in bed at the hospital. And a couple of days, they cut a hole here inside of my, I can't think what this is.
Your abdomen.
Yeah, well, between my leg, and they had this thing. I didn't know, they called it a pacemaker. and it slid right in there. And ever since then, I've been really good. I mean, strong. But that day, I died. They said I was a breath away from dying. That if they wouldn't have got me to the hospital, or if I was somewhere else, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't have made it.
No, because they rushed me right away. You know, where I got to St. Elizabeth, ain't far away. Within 10 minutes, I was in the hospital. And I don't know if that's from Vietnam or what, you know, my heart trouble, or I know my legs shrunk. And I try to, because I got wounded in that foot, I tried to say it was from that, and they said, no, it ain't from that. It's from all your back surgeries. How do I know my back surgeries ain't from Vietnam, you know, hurting my back? And
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, you know, and, you know, there could be a lot, you know, and I never pursued the changing, trying to get the medal change. And everybody telling me, you should have got the Silver Star. You should have got the, I said, I don't care what I get, as long as I get home alive, see my parents, you know. That's all I wanted. I had 3 older brothers and 2 sisters, you know. I changed. I got, I'd go out and get drunk and beat people up, fighting, you know. Outdoor Park was a big thing there. They had a lot of dance halls, you know. And then I simmered down a little bit, you know, and try to, you know, she's my good sister, gotta treat her good, you know. She was young. And I kind of, if I would have stayed in that kind of life, I would have been dead.
You would have been dead.
You know, I knew it.
Yeah.
So I was an alcoholic. I was drinking, honest to God, 2 fifths a day, 2 bottles of whiskey. I'd be so drunk, I didn't know where I was. I wrecked my car every day. And all that got to be caused by Vietnam.
How did you get sober, and when did you get sober?
One day I went down to the bar, and I would drink 8 or 9 doubles. And these guys were sitting in a bar talking about Vietnam, how they killed women and children. And I said, you're a fucking liar. I haven't seen nobody kill women or children when I was over there. And that's the truth. And I said, what were you in there? They said, we were cooks. And I said, you didn't even go out on a goddamn patrol with these people. How could you be? You were in the rear, you know. I went home that day, I quit drinking, and I walked up to Rush Boulevard to AA. And I said, sir, my name's Tony Tisler. I'm an alcoholic. And they took me in there 49 days. And that's how I quit drinking, and I haven't drank since that. It's been over 40, 45 years. I had a rough life, but I'm not saying anybody caused it. I caused all my own problems, you know. And I'm saying Vietnam caused a lot of them. They put me in a position where I didn't know where I was or what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. You know, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but, you know, and if I deserve something, I deserve to get it. I mean, they honored me. When I come back home, they honored me real good. I was in parades. They give me my own car. They would have me come up and tell everybody what I did, you know, and they would applaud, you know, and say, you're a hero. And I would say, I'm not a hero. All the guys that didn't come home. I've been saying that for 55 years. And it's true. I can see every one of them guys, their faces, black, white, yellow, any one of them that didn't come home. And I could hear the parents crying, you know. And like I said, I only got the one friend, and he was on R&R that day.
Tell me about, you said that when you came home, people said you weren't in a war. Was this at a VFW or an American Legion? Where was that? Did you try to...
It was everywhere. Like when we marched in the parade, they would say, you were in Vietnam, you guys marched in the back of the parade. You weren't in the war. The people individually were telling us that, downtown. you weren't in the war. And I'm saying, I'm looking at them, what the hell? What do you got to be in the war? What do you got to do? You know, and they would tell me that everywhere, not just there, you know, even in the bar. You weren't in the war. That wasn't, they didn't consider Vietnam a war. Right. When I would go to meetings, they had it written on the wall. Vietnam was not a war. I said, I don't understand that. I don't. You know, I'm a disabled veteran. I went to the meetings. I went to the Marine meetings. I did that 8, 9 years. Then I couldn't walk no more. I had to quit going, you know. And they never helped me out one fucking time. And that was their job, to help me out, to see if I need anything or that. Not one time they come and say, hey, could we get you something? Could we help you out? Or send you to a psychologist? Right. That's the main thing. He said, I wasn't getting nothing from the VA. I was disabled, but I wasn't getting no money from him. He couldn't figure out why. And he interviewed me and said, you should be getting over 100%. Oh, yeah. There's no why. Your mind's gone. It's all about the war. That's what's causing your problems, you know. And he sent me I had to go to the VA. He made me have a booklet with everything he did. And then they gave me 60%. Then they gave me 70%. And then I said, if you people gave me 70, you must think there's something wrong with me. I got interviewed, and I said, I want to get interviewed by a woman. And she gave me 100%. And that's the truth. That's how I wasn't getting no money at all. Me and my wife, we were starving, man. We had no income. I couldn't work. I was disabled from the mill and disabled from everything. And like I said, I think all my problems were caused by the war. I had trouble everywhere I went. And I was never a troublemaker, a fighter. The war made me mean, you know, and I didn't want to be mean with people. I didn't want to be that way. But somehow I couldn't help it. It's just, and then I get depressed. And I get mean. Then we would get drunk and go out and fight. Dances at the Holiday Inn and you know. Yeah. It was just, I don't know, the war just caused all my problems, you know. But I shook it off like it was nothing, you know. But I know that day I saved at least 8 or 9 guys. I saved their life. I bandaged them up. You know, they give you a bandage to tape their wounds. Yeah. And I legally carried them to the helicopter, put them in the helicopter. And then it was getting shot at, the plane, the helicopter. And I went back under fire, and I got 2 more guys. And they couldn't get the guys up from the bottom of the hill, because when they attacked, they got ambushed. The Gooks had holes on the side of the hill, and they ambushed them. And I carried the guys up on my shoulder, got them to the top of the hill on the rope. I was strong. I was 225 when I went over there. I come home 135. So I'm about 170 now, 175. And that's where I play my natural weight. Right. But they build me up from playing football.
Tony, thank you very much for getting your story on record here.